What were the underlying issues that led to the police confrontation with Breonna Taylor? In the early hours of March 13, 2020, a tragic event unfolded that would spark national outrage and calls for justice. Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency medical technician, lost her life during a police raid at her apartment in Louisville, Kentucky. The confrontation that led to her death was rooted in a police operation involving a search warrant connected to a drug investigation. The Louisville Metro Police Department officers were executing a search warrant targeting two men suspected of drug dealing. The warrant claimed that one of these men had used Taylor's apartment to receive packages. However, it is important to note that Breonna Taylor herself was not suspected of any drug activity. Initially, the warrant was a no-knock warrant, which allows police to enter without announcing themselves. This type of warrant has been criticized for increasing the risk of violent confrontations. Later, the warrant was changed to a knock-and-announce warrant, which required officers to identify themselves before entering. However, Kenneth Walker, Taylor's boyfriend, stated he did not hear any announcement. He believed that intruders were breaking into their home. Around midnight, officers forced their way into the apartment using a battering ram. Walker, thinking they were intruders, fired a warning shot that struck one officer in the leg. The officers then fired back, discharging approximately 32 rounds into the apartment. Tragically, Breonna Taylor was struck multiple times and died at the scene. The police maintained they announced themselves, but this claim was disputed by Walker and Taylor's family. Several issues contributed to this tragic confrontation. First, the use of a controversial search warrant raised questions about police tactics. The change from a no-knock to a knock-and-announce warrant was not effectively communicated, leading to confusion and fear inside the apartment. Second, the intelligence used to justify the warrant was flawed. The suspects were located over 10 miles away from Taylor's residence, and she was not directly implicated in the investigation. This raised concerns about the appropriateness of targeting her home. Third, the execution of the raid was chaotic. The police entered late at night, and the lack of clear announcements created a high-stress situation. The officers were in plainclothes, which may have contributed to Walker's perception that the intruders were not police officers. Communication failures also played a significant role. The discrepancy between the police's claims of announcing themselves and Walker's experience led to the escalation of the situation. Walker fired a warning shot in self-defense, believing his home was being invaded unlawfully. Finally, this incident highlighted broader issues in policing practices. It raised concerns about aggressive tactics, especially in minority communities, and the potential for fatal outcomes when executing search warrants without sufficient safeguards. The case sparked nationwide protests and calls for reform in police procedures and accountability. In summary, the confrontation that resulted in Breonna Taylor's death was a tragic outcome of flawed police tactics, poor communication, and systemic issues in law enforcement practices. Each of these factors contributed to a situation that ended in loss and heartbreak.